Hello, my name is Blessing Bess Otobo. Today I'm going to read the second chapter of my book, Life is About Decision, Life is About Love. I have the first chapter read, audioed, and it's on my YouTube channel, so you can check out my YouTube channel, B for Bess. But today I'm going to read the second chapter of my book and just preempt to, you know, make you be interested in buying the book online at amazon.com, which is where you find the list of my book. So this second chapter, Your Thought as a Seed, begins. The word seed has different symbolic meaning. And in a logical sense, a seed is something that is planted in the soil in order for it to germinate into its kind. Your thought as a seed symbolizes different things and meaning. In the analytical and practical sense, your thought is the way you think and see things. The patterns of accepting things, images that filter through your visual senses, and sound effects that you can hear. Seed symbolically illustrates in the simplest fashion the manifold of a man's existence, or the word, the thought form. The seed, or the Word of God, is a separate life substance that dwells in man. Whenever the word seed is used, it demonstrates the power of the seed existing as an independent force. Like the third form of man, the seed is a life force that operates as its principle dictates. But man has the ultimate power to control the seed, or else the seed controls him, meaning your thought can control you. If you are not in charge of your thoughts will control you, prompting you to do like the forces of the thoughts dictate. The power lies in knowing that the seed has been given to you to use only for your benefit. By believing in it, that is, the truth of the seed, man, as created by God, can channel the course of his life in every direction he wants it to go that is beneficial. A thought image gives way to emotions after the idea has been conceived, spoken, or reacted to. When words are spoken, what echoes out is the air that then gives off sounds that convey meanings through the image of what was communicated. Your thought, like your breath, is necessary because it is spirit and life. Your thought is your life in essence, and every generation of man is a regeneration of what came before by their thinking pattern. The key is that thinking can be altered and changed by the power which is in you. Every generation of man is distinctive by the way they think. Your thought propels your destiny, thus your future. Therefore, if you're weary and dissatisfied with your life, it is because you are not thinking the right thoughts. When you begin to change the way you think and react to events you come in contact with, your experience of life will be different. This is the end of chapter 2. And I will go to chapter 3. Thought as the air. The chapter 3 reads, I want to clarify this point when I said thought as the air. I meant in the parallel. Your thought is never the air that you breathe, although it is comparable to the natural spiritual symbol of it. How is this possible, you would say? How can the thought of man be the air he breathes? As a correlation, a man's thoughts relate to the air he breathes in its effortless essence. Your thought is not the air, but it is also like the air you breathe in the sense that it is freely given to you, and it's a vital force of life in you. Your thought correlates to the air you breathe on its function. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, the word reads, In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was on the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters, and God said, Let there be light, and there was light. God saw the light, and it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. The unseen element that hovers over the face of the water in the air, and in that air is the ether, the life giving spirit. Your thought, like the air, hovers in your mind, impressing upon your mind mental images. Air, as we know, is invincible in our visual world, yet in it is a vital element that sustains life. The ether, which is in the essence of air, was hovering over the deep water. The thought of God, according to Genesis 1, verse 1, is, in essence, the spirit that was hovering over the face of the waters. In correlating this analogy to your thought, like the air that is hovering over the deep, your thoughts hover over your subconscious mind, freely in the air, over the deep. Your belief is activated when you emotionalize what you're thinking and when it is spoken out as God did. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. It will manifest from the dark to the light, giving a sound that conveys meaning. One other example is this. If you've been to the sea, one of the invincible life forces that hover over the face of the sea is the effortless air. We feel it when it blows across our face, but we cannot see it. Like your thought, you don't see it, but its force is hovering over your mind, the deep. The light is man's awareness and understanding of what he has conceived, thought out, or programmed in his mind in reference to what God said. Let there be light. You are aware of the impact of your ideas through your life experiences and your feelings. Your feelings are your responses to your thoughts. The light that was good is impacted on man's mind consciously as he understands the meaning of his thoughts and how they relate to his reality. The light was separated from darkness, like intelligence from ignorance, from what was not known to what is known and felt. The darkness represents the mindset prior to conceiving thoughts that caused understanding or brought forth meaning to what was mentally conceived and realized. When God spoke to the word of light, his preconceived image went forth by faith to establish and to become what was designed. As a representation of God, you can pronounce or speak the thought image out for the word to be or act out the good that you've conceived mentally. The original word that was spoken, the light that was pronounced, came true from the breath of God. He spoke his word, which was through the air in you, and in its image was released out of his mind to yours. Air gives a sound when spoken, and this sound is that which was formulated, the pictures of the good things to come. When you talk, if there is no sound, there is no meaning. As such, there is no light, intelligence, or comprehension, understanding. This also works the same way when you don't do what is necessary to fulfill the right image about yourself. In this essence, it will not be realized because you did nothing. The spoken word also parallels the written word or action taken toward what was preconceived. If a person does not understand a word spoken, two things happen. The word was not audible and the sound did not register. The second, the sound expressed is impressed upon the individual by images which then convert to meaning. Images are really words in essence, and they can only materialize when that word is in them, when that word which is in them is presented either as spoken language or action of some sort. It doesn't matter what word or thought was used. What matters is that as long as the words are spoken or acted out, that means taking the action, it will by its principle of rightness become what was intended. Air is the life we breathe, and this life is the word of God, his good idea for man. The essence of your heavenly thoughts, or God's word is the foundation of your existence. The decision to make that foundation the place you want to live in. Make a right decision about what you conceptualize by carefully choosing your thoughts. The truth is in you, and all that is required of you is to leave it as it has been designated holy and pure. When you do that, your freedom and blessing are sure because they had already begun in the beginning when God created you with his DNA. The truth is, every good image that you conceive mentally is already in you. Life is good. Life is God, and God is his word. His word is the life in you. That is good. You are the real thought of God, and you are a gift to yourself to treasure. Your responsibility is how to protect yourself the way it was from the beginning, whole, because you are pure. We are formed in his image. He breathed the breath of life. Though God is present within man, it is through man's thought that he can entertain any goodness in relation to what is his purpose in life for you. God is separate from man's thought, but in no way apart from it. God is present where man is because his image, his thought, is man's essence of being. Man is not God, even though God's thought is an image called man. God is separate, but always present. God is ever present in person, within man and all around and through man's thinking. As you can see, man's thought is pretty much a viral life source. As an intelligent person, I presume you will not deliberately sit in an environment that is polluted and inhale impurities in the atmosphere. Although these days that seems to be the case with the situation we find ourselves because some environments are polluted. What is happening right now with the coronavirus, it's been polluted by coronavirus that when you go outside, you don't know what kind of air you're breathing. What happened is that what can we do but to stay away from this polluted environment? So what happened is that you will stay away from a polluted area so you don't inhale the dust and become sick. Your thought to stay away from a polluted area is your weapon of prevention. The weapon to do something about the situation involving your safety is the power given to you. The impurities or pollution parallels your concept of what is false or this dissatisfaction you've experienced with your life. When your thought of life is faulty, that is a sign that you are not doing what is right in regards to your thinking. Your power is to think the opposite of the negative that you're feeling because that is the only way you can change the situation for your good. You think of good things when you want to feel good. When you change the way you view yourself and replace it with new pictures of what you wish to see, things will begin to look different in your life and you will see the difference. The more enthusiasm and faith that you are able to put in the picture you have in your mind, the quicker it will come into visible form. And your enthusiasm is increased by speaking the words. When you do so, the life you want must manifest. Your thought of beauty and goodness for yourself is what determines what you become when you act on it. Your thinking builds or destroys you. It is a weapon which by faith accomplishes all things. Your thought can be evil and is good depending on how you use it. Your thought is so powerful you can't even begin to comprehend or imagine how dynamic it is. Your thought, like air, gives you the power and motivates you to do what is good. Your thoughts will lift you to a higher level and make you fly as far as you can go when you think right. Like the principle of aerodynamics, as stated by an instructor in a class that I took when I was in a flight attendant training, he said, air is basically what makes airplane lift off the ground into the sky and fly to a designated destination and back. In reference to your thinking, your thoughts are actions and the force that motivates you to do the right things that are good for you. Your thoughts will work for you as the principle of aerodynamics works for the airplane. Isn't that amazing? That your thoughts will work for you as the principle of aerodynamics works for the airplane. The law of aerodynamics, as I recall in this flight training, states that The air near the Earth's surface is compressed and has more weight than air higher in the atmosphere. Air is made up of gases which have substance. An airplane consists of various materials, and since all substance has weight, an airplane has weight. The weight of an aircraft keeps it on the ground. In order to fly, the airplane must overcome the weight. Before airplane can fly, it must produce a force greater than its weight. This effect is called lift. Before airplane flies, the lift must be greater than the weight. To generate lift, the aircraft must utilize the air in the atmosphere. The air flowing around the wing of an airplane produces lift. When the wing is moving through the air divides and flows around it. The bottom of the wing pushes down on the air. Air resists crowding and pushes back the airplane. This action produces lift. An airplane lifts only if the wing moves through the air. The power to move the airplane is produced by the engines, and this is called thrust. To move the airplane, the engine must produce thrust. To move the aircraft fast enough to generate lift, the engine must produce adequate thrust. Newton's third law of motion tells us that every action produces a reaction equal in force and opposite in direction. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. The air exhausted from a jet engine is an action and produces a result opposite in direction. The escaping air of movement is toward the area and thrust or reaction is in a forward direction. The result is also called thrust. To move the airplane forward, the plane must have thrust. To overcome the weight of the aircraft, the plane must lift. The lift is produced by air flowing over and under the wing, and air is a substance and has weight. How does the repeated illustration that I just spoken correlate with what I am saying in regards to that our thought is like air? So let's say your body or reality of life, your experiences, for example, is like an airplane. Your mind is the engine that processes your thoughts and gives you the energy to be creative. Thought has weight, and this weight also could parallel the issues of life in your experiences that have been weighing your body down. For example, negative thoughts or unproductive thoughts have weight. The way to move forward and away from what may be weighing you down is to be aware of the trust, your power, which is inside of you, your God-given power, the Spirit of God that is inside of you. A power within you to be creative and how your mind works in correlation with that creative thought. The power within you will always work for you when you do what is right. So you have to think bigger and better things that will lift you out of despondency. When you think good thoughts, you are encouraged to act. When you act, you move forward. Your thinking can produce joy as well as sadness. You can only move forward when you are free from the thoughts that are weighing you down. The negative pattern of thinking, the power within you is always life word and moves forward. When you habitually feed your mind positive thoughts, it will produce for you positive energy that will cause you to do what is right. Lift in this sense is a reactive energy moving you forward and upward by doing and acting out your creative energy. Putting in energy of good thinking activates your creativity, and when you continue to think positive right of yourself, you will move upward and forward. You can only fly high and remain there when you have overcome what is weighing you down by not focusing on negative thoughts about yourself or others. Negative thought habits will keep you grounded and you cannot produce anything life-worthy when you are laden with thought patterns that are not constructive for you. When you decide to move forward by changing your thought habits, replace the old with new and healthy thought patterns, then the weight of the past, dead habits, will fall off and the freedom from them will propel you forward. This is how the law of your mind works. What you put in will come back to you regardless of whether it is positive or negative. Habitual patterns of continued positive thinking might be new to you if you have been laden with thought habits that have been destructive. But when you continue to think right about yourself, the forces of what is life, word, and good in those thoughts will eventually lift you and move you forward to a greater awareness of new experiences and actions. The airplane can only lift up and fly because the thrust is greater than the drag. You can only move forward when you become aware of what can propel you forward. When you consciously believe that the truth in joy is stronger than the reality of your sad feelings, you will overcome that which is not true, that which has kept you bound when you think right and believe in the goodness of your thinking. When the air is not circulating properly, the airplane will not fly properly. When your real thought is burdened by the drag, the negatives, you cannot do anything meaningful. The airplane passing through the air creates friction. This friction holds the airplane backward from moving through the air. If the drag is too great, the airplane cannot fly. Something smooth surface on the plane gives the air little to stick to and helps prevent drag. Whenever you decide to do what is right for your upward mobility, there will be a force, a thought trying to hold you back from doing what is right for you. The secret also is that you must press on, or else the force of that which is not true will hold you back from fulfilling the truth of what it is you want to do. In reference to the airplane, the drag tries to hold and pull the airplane backward. But with the power of the engine the plane moves forward. The captain of the airplane continues to apply the force needed to push the aircraft forward. This is also what you would do when you've decided to do what is right for your success. You must follow through and continue to do that until you've completed what is required of that thought decision. The air in any living body will choke the individual if it's not circulating properly. When your thoughts are not in harmony, you feel restless and sometimes you feel pain because you are not holding on to thoughts that have hurtful because you are holding on to thoughts that have hurtful emotions. Thoughts such as guilt, resentment, hate, anger, self-doubt, and jealousy are emotions that will weigh you down. When you are bogged down with emotionalized thoughts such as hate and anger, you cannot be happy or free. And when you are not free psychologically, you become depressed and sometimes neurotic. There is hope when an individual recognizes this fact and changes his negative thought habits to constructive positive habits. The new thoughts, like the air, will move the person forward and upward. The law of motion states that every action produces an equal and opposite reaction. Your thinking habit is an action, whether positive or negative, will produce for you the experiences of what you either want or don't want. When you change your thought actions, let's say the negative thought actions that you know are not productive, you will receive a reaction. Forward movement. Escaping air, according to the principle of aerodynamics, is an action that produces a reaction that produces thrust for the airplane to move forward and upward. Forgetting what is behind, what is not good for you, and moving forward will free you from the effects of their negativity. Each time you want to do what is right and constructive to propel you forward, there will always be a force that will try to keep you from doing what is right, but you must press on with the good thoughts. There will always be a drag in every man's life when you are trying to do what is good. Negative forces such as doubt, fear, or anger may enter into your mind and may try to keep you grounded and away from your goal. The mistake many people make is that they allow the negatives to stay too long. They begin to entertain and believe in its doubt and fear, and therefore they refuse to do what they initially wanted to do. Sometimes unconsciously, you now begin to think that what is good is not for you. When you think about what is always contrary to good, it keeps you rooted in negativity. The negative thoughts or the drag that pulls you back is what tries to negate what is good in you. You are not bad because you think negatively or because the pull exists. The fact is, you don't know it and you think that you are bad or lack the power and resources to do what is right. The drive will always be there. The thoughts that judge and condemn what is good and progressive in you will always be there. Doubt will rise up if you're not focusing on what is positive to achieve. The truth is, you must continue to trust forward if you want to fly up and if you want to lift up and fly. Don't listen to the negatives or lag behind in the drag. Move forward like an airplane that must push forward in order that it can create thrust for lifting and flying in the sky to its destination. The airplane is in the sky because the air on the surface of the earth is thin, and this air keeps the plane moving and lifting because the aircraft is thrusting. Your continuous effort to do what is right will eventually become drag resistant because you are continuously on a different thought level that is always constructive. The drag will always be there, but it will not be strong enough to pull you down and keep you grounded in the negative. Air has weight. It circulates in you and gives life, or you die from lack of it. Your thought has weight, and if what you are thinking are positive and constructive, your thought will elevate you to a new level. Your thought, like a mass of compressed air, will also pull you down if you don't think positive. The way you react to expectations in life can be bothersome and can sometimes leave you depleted and unproductive. To sum up everything regarding the thought of man as the power source that moves his world, let us see what Apostle Paul said in Romans. In the book of Romans, chapter 12, verse 2, Apostle Paul advised the believers of Christ to offer their bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is a spiritual act of worship to God and is the only acceptable gift a man can give to God. Do not conform to the pattern of this world any longer, he said to them. Rather, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then will you be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good and perfect will for you that is forever pleasing. Apostle Paul's advice to the Gentiles is still relevant today. The bodies that are offered as sacrifice, Apostle Paul is talking about, is not the physical body, but the mind body, which can also be interpreted as the church. The faith which you are, the consciousness or thought of man. This should be kept holy and pure, for this is the only offering a man can give to the Creator of his soul. And this ends chapter 2 and 3. And I hope you enjoyed it. Next time, I will read the chapter 4. Thank you. And if you like this reading, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and may you be blessed. And also you can go to Amazon.com where you can order this book, Life is About Decision and Life is About Love. I hope you enjoy my reading. Thank you and be blessed.